Time now for Coming In Hot with Brent Wallace and former Ottawa Senator Jason York.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Coming In Hot. Brent Wallace alongside Jason York. It is May, so May showers bring coaching flowers.
Nice try. Oh,
Probably should have thought of that beforehand. Yorkie, we can get to the playoffs in a sec. We'll get to Belleville winning in round 2 and game 1 in a sec. The coaching changes are getting out of control. And I say that basically because 17 coaches have changed over the last 2 years or a year and a half since the end of last season. I think it is 17, Yorkie. There's only 5, if I'm not mistaken, that have coached coached the same team before 2022.
I'll wait until this round is over too. There'll probably be a few more vacancies. So there's going to be hey, listen, that's the way it is, right? There's only one team that's truly happy at the end of the season. It's the team that wins the Stanley Cup. Everybody else is trying to figure it out. But yeah, no, it's the league has never been more competitive and so much, with this is what they wanted when they switched to the cap a long time ago. You remember the days when you just knew it was always going to be Detroit or Colorado? It's like other teams couldn't compete. The league's pretty good now. Like, look at the playoffs right now. Good luck picking who's going to win. And it's just everybody just feels they have a chance now. So that's why you're seeing so many coaching changes, because if you don't win, there's pressure and teams don't have a lot of patience. So it is peculiar how many. Like, you look at San Jose, they make a coaching change. Really? Like, it doesn't really matter who's coaching that team right now. Like, come on. Like, David Quinn, like, he's basically coaching a minor league roster.
Right. But it's a no-win situation.
No, you're basically a seat filler for a couple of years until the team gets competitive, and then they bring in a new coach. But hey, you're getting paid pretty good. You're getting paid pretty good to do it while you're filling that seat.
That's what DJ Smith was always told to be, right? Was
be a good guy, keep your nose clean, and be a good, and you'll end up getting another job somewhere. The coaches are tight. It's a tight fraternity, and a lot of times guys that go in and they go into a bad situation, and look at DJ, for example. Everybody knew, like, when you're working for Melnick and the mess it was here with Dorian and everything. So he probably earned a lot of respect around the league he
got a job pretty quick, right?
Yeah, it's also who you know too. The NHL is about who you know. So you look.
Sure, if they don't think you can coach whatsoever, they're not putting you on a bench, because it's only going to be a detriment to your whole entire coaching staff.
But the way it works is coaches will hire who they can trust.
Absolutely,
because shit is going to hit the fan eventually when you're a coach. And the last thing you want when you're a coach is to have a guy that's trying to get your job. It's like Survivor Island. You don't want that guy outwitting, outsmarting, and stabbing you in the back. It's so true. That's why Steve Spott has followed Pete DeBoer around. That's why Paul Maurice has, I forgot the guy's name, who's always with him. And that's why Jacques had Perry Pern. It's such a cutthroat business that when you need somebody that's going to have your back. I remember when I was in Boston, Dave Lewis was my coach, and he was an unbelievable person, unbelievable guy, great coach, but a really nice man.
Wait a second. He didn't look like he could coach. It was a disaster, it appeared.
Well, but look at the team we had. It wasn't a good year, but the point I'm making is we had an assistant coach on our team that year named Mark Habscheid, and we all knew he wanted Louis' job. And it got to the point where Louis would speak, and then our assistant coach would come in like, oh, it's like, is this guy like trying to like cut the feet under from our coach? Everybody knew it. So at the end of the year, when they made the coaching change, not only did they fire Dave Lewis, they also fired the assistant coach, and the only guy that kept his job was Doug Huda, who just did his job and wasn't trying to take the coaches. So Huda gained a lot of respect from that. And surprise, surprise, Doug Huda's still in the league coaching because he's a good coach, but more importantly, a good person who you can trust.
So a couple of things on that, Yorkie. One, it seems every organization, the GM, if you will, always hires like an assistant and always has somebody in the coaching staff. Like I will say Jack Capuano was the guy in Ottawa. Like DJ Smith didn't hire Jack. He was brought in because of his experience to help with DJ. Brian Murray always kept Greg Carville around through all the coaching changes. Right. And so you see that a lot of there's always one guy. So when the coaching staffs change, it's usually one coach and one assistant coach go and one guy always stays.
Yeah. I think it depends too on the coach you bring in, like how much power he comes in, how much, like I'm sure when a coach comes in, he has it in his, it's already pre-worked out of who he can hire, who he can bring in, and that'll have something to do whether he's taking the job or not. It's like, okay, am I getting to hire my staff? Am I not? There's all these questions are being asked before, and it all depends, right? If you're, the situation DJ was in back then, he would just want an NHL job. So
I don't think he hired anybody.
Well, no, he was just happy to be in the league versus, when Berube, wherever he goes, I'm sure he's going to have a little more pull on who he brings in and who he's allowed to bring in. It'll for sure have something to do with who he picks.
Yeah. There's always usually one coach that gets to survive, and the goalie coach usually tends to be allowed to be left alone.
They always say in hockey that it's safe to be an assistant coach when shit hits the fan. But you don't want to be the first assistant coach closest to the head coach that's getting fired, because you're usually getting fired too. You got to be like the second assistant coach.
That's right. And you know what? A trend that's happened over the last, I'll say the 5 years, maybe a little longer, is every head coach has an assistant coach who's been a head coach in the National Hockey League. I think almost every roster had one.
Yeah. There's a lot of that
except
right
Ottawa
now.
At one point before Jack Capuano was hired. So I think there was Mark Crawford. Before that, maybe it was Dave Cameron's staff who had Andre Tourney and Marty Raymond. There was never a head coach on that staff. But if you look around the league, everybody's got one now.
Where's Marty?
I'm not sure why. It's just interesting to see.
Where's Marty coaching now? Do you know?
Martin Raymond?
Yeah, where is he?
I'd have to go back. I think he's back in the queue, but I'm not 100%
back in the queue.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you see Mark Crawford just won the Swedish Elite League, if I'm not mistaken?
Did he really?
Yeah.
I love Mark.
I think with Rob Cookson.
Wow. I told you the story. I've told the story before. His first coaching gig was coaching Toronto's farm team, the St. John's Maple Leafs. And you remember who I told you who his assistant coach was? It was his first coaching gig ever. And he was still playing. He was playing defense in the minors for the Toronto Maple Leafs farm team, and also the D coach. He was like a Reg Dunlop. Do you remember? It was Joel Quenneville.
That's right.
You go on for
the same thing.
Yeah, you go on for a shift, come back, then you coach the other D on the bench. Okay, you guys are up. You guys just catching my breath right now. Hey,
by the way, you guys need to forecheck.
Yeah, hey guys, come on, let's. But that's the way the minors used to be. Like when I was in the minors, think about this for a sec. I was playing in Adirondack, and you've got your best prospects down there. We've got Keith Primo, we got Mike Sillinger, we got Marty Lapointe, all our first rounders, and they got me, the lowly 7th round pick. But you got all these. This is how much the game has changed. This is 1992. We didn't even have a registered athletic therapist. So the guy that was in charge of all the health and injuries was the gym teacher at the high school. So you would come in the morning for treatment, and he was exhausted. I think he was maybe on the bottle a bit too. He had the head down on his desk like this. He'd go, "Hey, Case, what should I do about my knee?" He just point over to the ice. Go get your ice or go get a heat pack. And that was your treatment for the day. Like, think about that. Like the assets that are down there, like this is like your stable of racehorses that you want to eventually bring up to win and you've got a gym teacher as you, but this was all the teams, how they did things. It was such a different time. Like you did not want to get hurt. I'll tell you that much.
Well, fair enough. Just wrap it up. He's good. Go.
Wrap it up. Tape an aspirin to it. It's a long way from the heart. Get out there. Come on. How many fingers? 2, 3? What do you see there?
You just see the ice, son. All right. So back to the coaching changes. You talked about it, that there's less patience. Like, it's not that the coaches, I think, are bad, right? Like, I don't believe that these 32 coaches suddenly don't know how to coach, but there is zero patience left to get guys to turn teams around. Because, and I think I'm going to give credit to Jeff O'Neill. I think it was O'Neill who brought up that there's so much parity in the league. Everybody's coaching the same average team. And so you've got to try and find a way for your average team to be better than everybody else's. It's not the same as it used to be, right? And I think that's a big part of the parity affects the coaches.
Well, Bruce Cassidy is fired from the Boston Bruins. Is he a bad coach? Oh, then he goes and wins the Stanley Cup with Vegas. Like, that's what's going on. It's nobody's really a bad coach. It's circumstances, injuries. Is your goalie hot at the time? Or what are your? It comes down to a couple of things for me. Are your star players willing to play in the playoffs with the mentality of a fourth liner? And what that means is, are they willing to sacrifice everything they have to win? If your star players don't have that, you're not going to win. Number two, your goaltenders have to be really good in the playoffs. You get those two things going for you, because usually everything else is going to fall into place. Like your third and fourth, those guys are always going to work hard. You got to have your D. But to me, those are two of the biggest things. And you look at teams that win. Look at Colorado right now. Look how Nate McKinnon and Cale Makar are playing right now. Look at Edmonton. Look at their big boys. Like, they're Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl did not play with this type of vigor and heart when they were younger. It takes a while to figure it out. And I always say this: if you take will beat skill when skill doesn't work. But when you can get skill to play with will, I feel like a poet right now. You've got something special. And that's how you win.
So by the way, and we're going to hear more and more names come out, Yorkie, but there are a lot more coaches that have been talked to or discussed. We did hear Travis. It's funny. Travis Green is the last guy that has, like Frank Cervelli reported, he had a meeting.
That, yeah.
He's an interim head coach, just like I guess Jacques Martin is, but we know Jacques not coming back. Travis Green, interim in New Jersey, yet they're giving him they're allowing him to meet with Ottawa, which probably signals
that's not a good sign.
He's not coming back to Ottawa to New Jersey. So there's going to be another opening in New Jersey. I think right now there are basically 6 interim or vacancies. LA. Yeah, I think LA is the one. So everything in white on the screen is an interim or a vacant spot. St. Louis has Drew Bannister, who is interim. LA is Jim Hillier, who's, I think he stays. I think he's done a fair enough job to earn that spot. But New Jersey, Ottawa, San Jose, Seattle, all vacant. If
the
you will.
The Seattle one kind of shocked me, because I thought Hackstall, like, that team, for what he had, like, he didn't have those star players that I'm talking about, but he got that group. Problem is they set the bar too high too early. It's like, hey, what's going on here? You got us to the playoffs. What a second year of existence now. We're not a playoff team. It's so hard in the NHL when you only have the top 8 from each conference making it. It's like I said, you got a lot of unhappy organizations, and then you see coaching changes.
All right, so let's veer off. Do you want more playoff teams?
You know what? The one thing I don't want is these stupid debates everybody has all the time. Hey, we should change the playoff format. We should do 3-point games. Just quit fucking around with the game. It's pretty friggin' good. Like, we always nitpick about all this stuff. So I don't know. I will say this. I do love those play-in games they do in Major League Baseball. Those are pretty exciting. That would be something I would. And I just went on a rant about not wanting to change things, but I do love the drama of those play-in games. They're pretty cool.
Because game 80 or game 71, while I know you're trying to chase down a playoff spot, aren't nearly as exciting as a play-in game. So how about we take 6 games off the schedule? I know that's a lot. So 4. and put 20 teams in the postseason. Or maybe it's 24 and 8 of them do play-ins.
Give some more to you give something for your top 2 conference winners on each side of maybe they get a break and they get some kind of bye or something. But I don't know. That's all about revenue too, right? That you don't want want teams on the sidelines. It's all about getting money in there. But hey, if you want to increase your revenues, I would look at that of doing some type of play-in game where you add an extra game, and maybe you do that. Man, you put me on the spot here, but maybe because really, is there any difference between the last couple teams that missed by a point? So maybe you throw them into the pen and let them go at it for one game, and you win, you're in. Like the drama would be outstanding.
Yes. So one year, I forget which one it was. I believe it was the Islanders and Devils had to do a play-in game. So it was game 85 for them. It was because they were it was a tiebreaker or whatever. So they flew me in to do the game. Anyway, it was great, right? Like you win and you're in. I would just shorten the season. You can't do it drastically because of all the teams that don't make the money. But boy, give me 24 teams.
Don't shorten it. Don't shorten it. The play-in game's an extra.
Shorten the season, Yorkie. There's too many games.
Doesn't matter. Guys are going on injured reserve now. There's to figure it out. Nobody's playing all the time. There's rest, load management, and all this stuff going on. The guys are cruising around.
People can't afford 41 games
for tickets.
Yes.
Are you talking about the consumer? Well, you give me one game with all the drama of winning, you're in. I'm going to that game.
But that's what I'm saying. So shorten the season and do the play-ins. Anyway,
you're
off topic.
They're never going to shorten the season ever.
Well, it used to be 84 games and now it's 82. So don't say never.
Was it really?
Yeah. When? Did you play during the 84 games? Probably not. I think it was earlier. I think it was in the 80s. Yeah.
You don't remember that. 84.
Well, you can look.
I'm losing my marbles.
Please, somebody clip that and just use it as a meme. So and we brought this up, I think, in the last show. There's an issue in Carolina. I'm saying there's a chance that it looks like the offer has been pulled off the table from Tom Dudden, I believe, the owner of the Carolina Hurricanes, to Rod Brind'Amour, meaning Rod Brind'Amour might become a free agent here very soon. But I don't know that he's going to want, I don't know, $7 million.
I can't see them doing that they're not doing that kind of shenanigans during the playoffs, are they?
No. Well,
pulling an offer off the table.
Well, it appears
the way the picture has been painted is Carolina Hurricanes have offered Rod Brind'Amour a contract and they just pulled it off the table right in the middle of the playoffs.
Right. We don't know when that offer was rescinded. It could have been at the start of the playoffs.
It could have been both parties agreed, you know what? Let's get the playoffs. Let's focus on the playoffs, and because I'm sure Brind'Amour he's a smart guy. He knows he's going to have a lineup of teams, but waiting for him. But I don't think he would. I know Rod a little bit, not well, but knowing what players that go to Carolina and make that their home, they never seem to want to leave. And he just seems like he's got his kids there. He's going to coach the kids. He saw the clips there of on a game day. He goes over to the kids' practice. He's Mr. Carolina. I cannot.
That happens everywhere.
There's something about the Carolina Raleigh area where players just love it. They retire there.
Beautiful.
It's a great spot to raise a family. It's cheap. Houses are awesome.
Well, Brent, you know what? I'll get Aaron Ward on the show. We'll talk about Carolina because it's a great spot.
It's really nice.
Did you play with Wardo in Boston?
Played with Wardo twice. Aaron came up when I was in Adirondack. Wardo and I were actually D partners for a while. Oh, he came up. My God, he loved his desserts. He just used to. He's a big guy. He's thick. Mm-hmm. But the reason was he just pound the desserts after every meal. He couldn't wait to see what was on the dessert menu. And then I didn't see because I got traded to Anaheim. And well, this is a story. I was the guy in Adirondack, and Wardo was number 2. So when I got traded, Wardo became the number 1 prospect. And I always tell him, "You got 2 of my Stanley Cups." that should have been me. And
well, we'll see. We'll bring him on and see if he'll give you his rings.
And then we ended up meeting up later again in 2007. He got traded to Boston on that team I was talking about. We were in Boston together. We had so much fun. I like Wardo's a lot of fun.
He does a great Brian Murray impression.
Oh, I know. He did it on the show for us before.
Yes, and I think he was told by Brian Murray one time that he didn't like it. But anyway, by the way, Jacob looked it up. 1992-94 seasons, there were 84 games.
Did I ever tell you the Jim Cummins, Brian Murray story?
Oh no.
So Jim Cummins, I had played with I had played with Jim in the minors, and then we ended up in Anaheim with me. And Brian was the coach, and we were in a horrible losing streak. It was the beginning of the year. We weren't very good. And Cummings did the best Brian imitation. It was spot on. And he used to get the guys around, and guys would laugh. And so anyhow, we're in Tampa. We're in Tampa, and we're in the elevator. I think it was me, Korea, a couple other guys, and Cummins is full Brian Murray imitation. We're in the elevator, we're listening. Come down to the first floor, elevator door opens. Jimmy's still doing it. There's Brian right there. We all scattered out of the elevator. And that was after practice. And then the next day, we come to the rink. Cummings' equipment's gone. It's gone. They sent him to the minors. And Brian came in that day, and we were having, and who knows, it might have happened. It might have been something that was already in the works, but they had sent Jimmy down, and Brian gave us a huge speech on overcoming adversity and with his life and being a teacher and how he worked his way up to coaching and how he had the lisp and everything. But it was a great story. But Jimmy, to this day, I'm like, okay, did Jimmy get sent down because Brian busted him, and probably had something to do with it? But Brian gave us a great speech that day, and we went on to start winning again. But it was man, that impersonation was good though. It was so good.
Anyway, we'll get Wardo on. But point is, Rod Brindamore, whether I believe it to be factually true, because I've never known Dregs to not have something that wasn't true.
I read that.
It would be interesting to see if he got a chance to at least interview. I don't think they can afford him, but I don't know.
Ottawa?
Yeah. I'm telling Yorkie, you seem to think that Ottawa in a small market has all this money, and it's not economically feasible to pay your coach $7 million right now.
I think this group's going to surprise people on what they're willing to pay a coach.
Then I will wait to see it, but I don't believe they're going to go from paying DJ Smith 1.5 or whatever it is to $7 million. It's just.
So you think, okay, well, currently, what's the highest paid coach in the league? What's he at? Who is the highest paid coach? Is it $5 million? Remember when Babcock was coaching, he was making $5 million.
No, isn't someone making $7 million? Is John Cooper?
Coop's making $7 million?
I can't. There's somebody. But anyway, remember
how good
don't
is
forget
Coop,
Mike Babcock was making a ton of money.
Hey, how good is Coop, by the way? They tried to cancel him, but right away he comes back and people love him even more now. He's so good.
He knew what he did. He Peter Laviolette at 4.9.
So you don't think the Sens would give a coach 4.9?
Well, Cap Friendly is trying to track down the coaching salaries. I don't know how true these are because you don't have to publish them. But Rod Brindamore's not on there.
He's severely underpaid.
Patrick Waugh is not on there. Mike Sullivan, John Cooper, don't know him. So Bruce Cassidy's 4.5. So let's say $5 million. I think you're gonna I don't know that they're paying a coach $5 million.
It's going to depend on who that coach is. If you get a new, let's just say Ottawa really wants Berube and he's their guy, and that's the number they need to get him. I don't see them not doing it. I don't.
We'll wait and see. I guess.
We shall wait and see. We will agree to disagree.
Is there one guy and I'm going to put Joel Quenneville on that list. I think Joel Quenneville needs to start to get considered again. Is there one guy on your list you want to see as a head coach of the Ottawa Senators?
See, I always see coaching questions are they're very funny is not the right word, because everybody weighs in on it, right? And all these people weigh in on who could be a good coach, and half the people that are weighing in have never been in the room with the coach, have never heard the coach talk, have no idea how he coaches, and they're all going off hearsay on what everybody else says.
Yes, or what they've seen on a TV screen from someone behind the bench.
It's just comical. So everything I've heard about Craig Berube has been really positive. I know guys that have played there. I know people that know him. I hear a lot of good things about him. But for me to say, I know how Craig Berube is, and because for me, this is the mark of a good coach, is how he talks to his players when the doors are closed and when shit hits the fan. That's when you know. So if I look at Berube, all I can say is, yeah, I've heard he's good. I've heard all this good stuff. He's won. He's supposedly able to get players to get to that next level you need to get to in the playoffs. So look what we did with St. Louis. So you can go off his track record. He took a team that was in last place and turned them around. So if I'm the Senators, that's attractive to me. He can take a team and get them better. And that's exactly what needs to be done here in Ottawa. So if I look at all those factors, I'd have to say Berube would be at the top of my list. He's not as recycled as the rest of the other coaches, but really is recycled really that bad? Because I don't know. Cassidy was just fired and got another job, won the Stanley Cup. Like Pete DeBoer's got Dallas playing pretty good right now. Same with Paul Maurice. So I'd have Berube. You know, I keep hearing Todd McLennan's name. I don't know a lot. Just again, it's what I've heard about him. But I would put Berube at the top of the list just based on what he did with St. Louis. And I find it very intriguing because you want to see whatever coach you bring in, what kind of effect is he going to have on your top players? Because that's really important. Can he get your top players to buy in what he's selling? And you'd have to think that Brady Tkachuk and Berube would be a match made in heaven, right? Because you saw how Berube was bugging the hell out of him, why some of the St. Louis younger players weren't willing to pay the price that he wanted them to pay. And that's pretty well at the end of the day what I got out of why he left. I don't think he'd have a problem on getting Brady Tkachuk to pay the price that you need for winning. So that to me makes Berube a very intriguing candidate. And you know, with Travis Green, I know Travis, he's the same age as me, played a ton against him, played for the Leafs, has some experience. I got Berube as number one on my list right now, just based on what type of team Ottawa is. And hey, he's won very recently. So
okay, I'm going to give you three names based on what I think they have been proven playoff coaches.
Yep.
Berube.
Yep.
Rod Brindamore, if available. I know he's just bear with me.
You put Q on.
He's closer to being on the market than not on the market, if you ask me. And Joel Quenneville. You can pick one of those three coaches. Who is going to be behind the bench for you next season?
If Rod Brindamore came available, wow, that's a great question. I love Joel Quenneville as a coach. I think he's such a great coach. There would be, I would just hate to see, because you just know so many people aren't going to. There's going to be that distraction element, and people are going to. I like all three. I think I'm going Rod the Bod. I do. Yeah. I think I'm going Rod. I love how he speaks to his players. I like how the message, I like what he's doing in Carolina. I don't think they've ever had, I was going to say they've never really had the elite goaltender. Like, okay, he's coming to Ottawa. Okay. That box isn't checked either. All three, honestly, Wally, all three. Yeah. I would be friggin' ecstatic if you get one of those three coming in here. They're all look at the resumes.
Let me put this out there because it's in the chat a bit about a French speaking coach, and while I completely understand it,
yeah, be good.
Yes, I just I think it becomes a bonus. I don't believe they're going to hire based on whether he can speak French or not, or she for that matter. I don't know. Maybe they hire a female coach. I'm just saying I don't know that French becomes an issue. I think it's just a bonus if it happens.
Well, for sure. Yeah. You get, because if you do your media scrums, it's always nice if you can do a little bit in French, but no, it's an added bonus. That's the mistake Montreal makes all the time. It's just they eliminate so many of the good candidates by having that rule. And I understand. I worked in Montreal for 3 years. It's important to get the message out, but it's I don't know why eliminate so many good people. At the end of the day, the coach is in the dressing room, and the most important thing for your coach is not dealing with the media. It does help. It's dealing with the players, and the language that is always spoken in the dressing room is English.
Yeah. And
that's just the way it is. And so, yeah, be nice. Yeah, for sure. It's Ottawa. A lot of French people here. Be great. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, the players do not give a shit. It's about winning, and you bring in the best coach that's going to help you do that, especially now for the Senators, because they can't afford to make a mistake here and say, oh, shit, well, we're not hiring you because you can't speak French.
And if you watched in Montreal, I think it had an impact on their decisions of who coaches that team. And all of a sudden, they're recycling everybody. Michel Therrien twice. Yeah. Claude Julien coached twice.
Yeah, I like Claude's another name out there. I think Claude's such a good coach. He's just the way he teaches. He's a younger Jacques Martin. He's just such a detailed guy, and he's won the Stanley Cup in Boston. I thought he got a raw deal in Montreal. I thought they fired him a little early. He's living right here in Ottawa. He's another guy I'd have no problem with being the coach here. I think he's a tremendous coach.
Yes, I'm not sure he's on the list, but I do know he's interested.
For sure. Well,
yeah. And who isn't? He's a lifer.
That's the thing with this current, the way Ottawa has changed things, a lot of people, it's not like before when Melnyk, you had a lot of people that didn't want to come here because they didn't like the setup and the owner here, and things were just a mess. Now you've got stable ownership, you got money, you got some good pieces, so it's a very attractive job to a lot of people.
Remember when Randy Cunningworth went to Montreal and couldn't speak French?
Oh, what a mess! That was so unfair. That was so unfair to Cunny. I played with Cunny, and one of the best, hardest working individuals. He's the type of guy you'd trust him dating your daughter. I remember when he was 34, 36 years old, he was the captain and he was on our third or fourth line. He's fighting the other team's tough guy. Like, he'd just do anything to help you win. And I heard he's a great coach, just a great person. He did really well in the minors in the A, if I'm not mistaken, when he got called up. But when we had our group here, Wally, in the early days of the Sens, when they were building the group here under Jacques, when Randy Cunning, it's really important, and this is part of the reason why I think the Sens kind of faltered in the early years. You didn't have enough guys like the Randy Cunningworths to surround your young players with. So you had guys like Alfie and even Yashin and everybody. Like, when you got a guy like that that's 34 years old, that's playing like his life depends on it, it just sets an example for everybody else. And that's I'll never forget Randy Cunningworth. Great captain and great person.
I remember when I got to Ottawa, he was already gone, but people still reflected and talked about Randy Cunningworth and what he meant to the team. I do remember that.
Such a good guy. He had the Suburban. Remember the big Suburban trucks? And he had the low rider. So we'd always tease him because he had it jacked down low, and he had the low rider going on. But yeah, good dude. Got a raw deal in Montreal, that's for sure.
Yes, he did. One other name that keeps by Dark Helmet, who's adamant about Gerard Gallant.
Dark Helmet? Is that a Spaceballs reference?
I'm not sure. Do I look like a Spaceballs guy?
Come on, you have not seen Spaceballs.
No.
Wow. Okay, that's your homework this week. You're gonna go home and you're gonna watch Spaceballs. One of John Candy was basically it's a parody off Star Wars. John Candy was the Chewbacca character, and his name in the movie was Barf. He was like a big giant dog. Oh, it's so funny. It's a classic.
It is confirmed. It is Spaceballs reference. And Dark Helmet's not happy with me.
Rick Moranis was Dark Helmet, and he was playing a miniature Darth Vader, and okay, you're going home to watch Spaceballs this week. You report back to me on Monday.
We'll see. I'm going somewhere tomorrow. I'm going to tell you about my road trip in a sec here. So anyway, back to Gerard Gallant.
Yeah.
Who has a proven regular season winning record and is well known as a player's coach. But he's done
awesome guy.
Not much in the playoffs. And I will say he did get to a Stanley Cup final with Vegas. But there's not much to show for postseason activity. And they did coach in Florida when they had some really bad teams. So there's another. But
a guy too that reminds me a lot of Randy Cunningworth. I played with Gerard in Detroit. He was on Steve Yzerman's line in the early years, and man, he'd fight anybody. If anybody touched Yzerman, not the biggest guy either, but just a great guy. Turk,
but Turk only lasts 3 years or less in every organization.
I think it's because he cares so much about the players. And when you know your coach cares about you, you work really hard from him, but you've got to have the right group of players that aren't going to take advantage of that trust, and that coach gives you a little extra rope, right? And you need the right group that's not going to, take advantage of that. And I don't know if that happened. There's probably a variety of reasons why he didn't win, goaltending, whatever. But yeah, he's done a nice job in the regular season. Just the playoffs just haven't worked out for him. I wouldn't have him on my list. I think it's really important from what I've seen here, Wally, and I think everybody that's listening can agree. They need somebody that's going to hold the players accountable. That is first and foremost, holding players accountable, because the time now, the white gloves are off now. That's going to be, vital with this group moving forward.
And we wait and see. Now the last thing about this, and we brought up before, do they need to get something done, or are they going to lose out on somebody? Because now let's say there's six spots.
I know. It's it's a game of wait and see, right? Do you wait? Do you see who else comes? Well, I'll tell you right now, I don't want to take if Toronto loses, they're firing their coach. Safe to say they're not going to want to hire Sheldon.
They
Keefe.
have to.
So
don't you have to?
Yeah, he's gone if they lose. And stop it with Toronto showed a lot of character in the last game. Boston was awful. they should have destroyed Boston in that game. I can't believe how bad Boston was in that game. They looked like a team that was really nervous and wasn't playing. That was a terrible hockey game, by the way. Did you watch it? The Boston-Toronto game? It was awful.
I watched most of it, yeah.
Boston couldn't even make a play. And
Boston was just, they thought they'd won.
Toronto barely beat them. I'll tell you one thing. Whoever wins that series, Florida is going to roll over anyhow. Both those teams. Florida they are rolling at a different level right now. Unless something miraculous happens, they got something happen. I can't see Florida losing to either one of those teams.
Now, here's the thing. Lastly, John Gruden can't be the guy. Now, regardless if they have asked for permission to speak to John Gruden or not, I'm not sure they need to, since they could run into him walking down the street, if you will. Right? They know him pretty well. He just lost to Belleville, and I'm thinking, if you want your team, if you want your next coach to be the guy, I'm not sure losing in round one to the farm team is signaling that he's a great coach. Now, it's not all on the coach. It's just optics.
No. Yeah. I could see him coming in as a D coach.
I would love to have John Gruden on any coaching staff. I'm just
I
saying,
tell you what, I know John really well, and he is, for what defensemen need in today's game of teaching the game, all you have to go back and look at his track record on the teams he's worked with as a D coach. Boston had statistically their best defensive year ever that year. He was coaching their D. The New York Islanders, Barry Trotz actually hired John Gruden from Hamilton. He came in and he was Trotzy's D coach. The New York Islanders D, until he got there, were terrible. And what Gruden is really good at, he's really good at teaching how to play defense the right way in today's game, because it's changed. You can't be teaching. It's not all about, go in the corner and you got to take the man. Like some coaches will teach, you got to close fast, get on him and hit him. No, sometimes you got to stick on puck. Sometimes you got to contain. It's like there's different times to do different things at defense. It's not always about boxing out. Sometimes you got to front and block shots. The little intricacies of playing defense, John is really good at, and proofs in the pudding. Look at Boston, look at New York, look at the difference in those defense cores before and after he was there. So I think he'd be a great fit here as a D coach.
Fair enough. Okay. I got to take care of some work before we move on. And as always, this show, we're way late. This show is proudly presented by Betway. Go to betway.ca, the official betting partner of the National Hockey League. Bet your way with Betway. It must be 19 plus. Please play responsibly. Also by BEI, Bonisher Excavating Inc., helping to shape the Ottawa Valley. Listen, if you need a quick aggregate topsoil sales, got to do some landscaping. Also, if you're looking at trying to get the driveway redone, any of that stuff, they do asphalt as well. Give them a shout, 613-432-1120, or go to bonisherexcavating.com. Also, by Wendy's. Doopy-doo. It takes hard work and determination. I couldn't find it. I put it somewhere and I couldn't get it back.
Like that.
Yeah, sorry about that. It takes hard work and determination to bring home the cup. Luckily, all you need to do to bring home Wendy's rewards is simply just eat. Just download the Wendy's app, place your favorite order, and you'll be well on the road to victory. And by victory, we mean free food, obviously. Hey, while you're racking up rewards points and eating your way through the menu, you'll also find plenty of deals along the way to keep morale high. Don't forget Cinnabon parts. So what are you waiting for? Download the Wendy's app today and start earning on every order. And as you can tell, I'm a little extra energy today. I had my AG1.
Yes. Love this stuff, Wally.
By the way, people ask about what it tastes like. My way I've labeled it is vanilla and pineapple-ish. Yeah, it's very soft.
It
really
tastes good. It tastes like a Wendy's Frosty, but it's good for you.
It's so good. See that in the script here. By the way, it's a foundational nutritional supplement that supports your body's universal needs like gut optimization, stress management, and immune support. Since 2010, AG1 has led the future of foundational nutrition, continuously refining their formula to create a smarter, better way to elevate your baseline health. Gone are those numerous days of multivitamins. Just one scoop of AG1 is all you need. It's tested for 950 contaminants, and it's certified for sport. If there's one product I'd recommend, it's AG1. Go to drinkag1.com/CIH. You can get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Drinkag1.com/CIH. Go check it out. There.
I've got my AG1 under lock and key. My son's home from school and he's trying to steal it, so I got to hide it.
That's funny.
That's my stuff.
Just order him some more. Get off your wallet.
I'm on a fixed income, Wally.
Okay.
I love that Wendy's read, by the way. It takes hard work and dedication to hammer a double burger.
Oh, a bacon. Is it Baconator? Yeah. Anyway,
the Baconator. That's you're thinking Burger King.
I don't know.
Baconator.
Okay, we got to move on before I get in trouble. I'm not sure. Last night, we are fully on board with the B Sens playoff train here. They won round 2, game 1 last night, 2-1. They were up 2-0. Igor Sokolov and Angus Cruikshank, the goal scorers in this one. Matt Sogard, 21 saves. They held the fort down the last half of the third period. I think they were outshot 11-4, 14-4, something in there. They look good. So I'm going to game 4 tomorrow. Game 2. I'm going to Belleville. Yep. Game 2 tomorrow.
Nice. Game 2.
So,
tomorrow's Friday, right?
Yeah.
Shit, I'd love to go. I got men's opening at the golf course. So otherwise, I would actually go with you. I love AHL playoffs are tremendous. That rink has been rocking too. I saw a couple videos from that for the first round there. It was good.
So
great hockey too.
Stephen Halliday, he picked up another point. He's looked on the power play, as David Bell talked about. He looks really good.
Yeah.
That was on the Igor Sokolov goal, if I'm not mistaken.
Is your son home, Wally?
Yeah, he's going with me.
Oh, nice father-son road trip, eh? What's do you have the itinerary mapped out for him? I'm sure you do. You got son. Okay, we're gonna go here.
I don't.
Leaving at 2 p.m. sharp. We're gonna make a Tim Hortons stop here. I'm gonna have a coffee. You're gonna have a hot chocolate. Get to the game for warm up. We want to see warm up. We're gonna sit right here after the game. We're gonna stop and get gas, and we will arrive home at 2 a.m. in the morning.
So that is ridiculously very close to reality. However, he's got a job he's working, and so I'm not sure what time he's done at. So I haven't made any plans.
He's going to throw the itinerary off. What are you going to do?
It causes me heart palpitations. I don't know what to do. I don't know where we're eating. Is it going to have to be at the en route? Yeah. Do I get gas before or after?
Oh God.
So it's a little bit of stress.
You are the anal retentive broadcaster. Although I got you today. Today I knew. I got you today.
Yes. All you had to do was remind me that you needed to move this to 10. I forgot, because all week I try to line up guests and I'm always telling them 9 or 3.
Oh yeah.
And so
we'll blame Smitty. We'll blame Smitty because Smitty threw us all in for a loop on Monday. He was supposed to come Monday. We got him Tuesday. This is a thing with the show. There's always moving parts.
I do.
I had evidence. I'm sitting at my doctor's appointment this morning. The phone's buzzing like, okay, it's Wallace.
Yeah.
Close at 9. I got to get off the table. I'm like, it's at 10. I had evidence too. Sent you the screenshot.
I was so angry. I was angry at myself. A little angry that you didn't remind me, but angry at myself that I forgot, because I'm usually pretty good. But we do have somebody lined up Monday, 9 a.m.
Yeah? Who?
Chris Campoli.
Come on.
Chris Campoli.
Allen Cup champion?
2-time Allen Cup champion. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't wait to pick his brain to see why the hell is he playing senior hockey.
I think because he loves it, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like Terry Ryan.
Yeah. Terry's nuts, though. He's crazy.
Well, maybe we'll find out Camper is nuts, too. And I feel like there's something else I'm forgetting to put in this show that we've talked about. But so tonight's game, the Leafs, Bruins, which is brought to you by Betway. It's our lock of the day today.
I'm so
Is it
mad,
finally going to be over? Because if they force this to 7, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about Boston anymore.
They're not looking extremely confident. They're not. Last game, they're terrible. There's going to be a lot of pressure in Toronto in front of their fans, though. It is vital that Toronto gets off to a good start, because if they get down early, their fans or the Boo Birds will be out early. For me, it's all about the start for Toronto. It's just, isn't this great? They always say, my old buddy Steve Lloyd used to always say this: live sports is the best drama. It's the best, and this is what we all want to see. Everybody in Ontario and Canada that's not a Leafs fan, they're loving this. They want to see the pain. They want to see the misery. It's such good television. Boston, yes. Toronto. I'm pissed. So my cable's out. It's been out for 3 days. I'm gonna have to go somewhere and watch it tonight.
I'd invite you over, but I'm super, super busy. So
go down to my neighborhood pub, Churchill's. Watch from there.
I gotta rest up.
But, hey, how about this? Remember, I know this is off topic. Told you about Hellebuck. You didn't listen.
Okay, hang on. So, are we done with Boston? Who are you picking to win tonight? Of course, brought to you by Betway. Please play responsibly. Must be not.
Yeah. I could see this going 7. Keep the drama going. I could see Toronto winning. It goes back to Boston. I'll take Toronto.
And if I'd have known that Matthews wasn't playing, I might have been inclined to pick them last game, because teams always rally when their star is out and they don't wait for them to score the goal.
Did you see Max Domi on the faceoffs? He was 10-0 to start the game, like just schooling everybody in Boston, like and snapping them back clean. Yeah, it's funny too. When you look at Boston, when you watch them play, you say, "Holy cow, they don't really have a lot of top end star players." Like even Marchand, like he's had an unbelievable career. Like you can tell he's not the same player he used to be. Charlie Coyle's their top center, who's a really good defensive player, but they don't have a ton of game breakers. They have Pasternak. The Pasternak's not on the same level as the McDavids and the Dreisaitl's and the McKinnons. He's like a second tier star.
I don't know. He can take over a game.
No, he can't. No, he can't. Not like those guys can. He is not like McKinnon, McDavid. He's not a Barkov.
Okay, but when did they have to have a McDavid and McKinnon and Bart? Like, what are you talking about?
I'm just saying that's the difference.
He's also been a Hart Trophy finalist, though.
Based on points, just watch the games. He's not the same as those players. He's really good. Like,
but he's not playing against McDavid and McKinnon. Like I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Well, he's not as good as Matthews. If you look at pure goal scorers, like that's what they do. Okay. They're both pure goal scorers, right? Who would you rather have? Who would you rather have on your team? Who'd you rather have on your team?
I'm just going to ask you the same thing. If you had to pick, if you have Matthews or Pasternak to pick from, who do you pick?
Without hesitation, Austin Matthews.
I'm inclined to take David Pasternak because he's a playoff performer.
Really? What have they won? And I'm not trying to slam Pasternak. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a hell of a player. Like when I said, like there's only the few McDavids and Dreisaitl's and McKinnons. That's an unfair comparison. But I think people forget how Austin Matthews is the best goal scorer in the world right now. He is. He was actually pretty good in the playoffs last year too. I'm not a Mitch Marner fan. Like if I'm taking between Marner and Pasternak, I'm taking Pasternak all day long. But I just think because of Matthews' size, he's 6'4". He's just his release and he got 70 goals this year.
I understand, but does that mean your team is going to win in the playoffs? It hasn't related to that so far.
Well, it's because who they got him sort like. I'm not a Marner guy. You take Marner out and you put Zach Hyman in there instead, I think you're a way different team.
So just for like David Pasternak, who doesn't have, I mean, he has Brad Marchand, but he doesn't have Mitch Marner feeding him pucks and Willie Nylander in a very, I think, a much better offensive team. 48 goals, 40 goals, 61 goals, 47 goals. He's a 4-time 40-goal scorer, and then he's got 3 more 30-goal seasons. 3 more 30-goal seasons. That's pretty impressive.
Now do Matthews.
But my point is, you're saying he's like so far down here compared to Austin Matthews, and I don't believe he is.
I didn't say that. I said he's not McKinnon, he's not McDavid, he's not at that level.
77 playoff games, 79 points, 35 goals. He has proven to be a playoff guy.
Well, they haven't. Yeah, he's good. I'm not saying he's not a really good player. He is a really good player. I'm just saying Matthews is the best goal scorer in the league right now. So if I'm going to take between those two players, I'm going to take the best goal scorer in the league because that's what they both do. If those two players aren't scoring, they don't do well. Matthews is a bigger body. I'd say Matthews is actually a little bit better defensively than Pasternak because Pasternak's not good defensively. We can all agree on that. He's not a good defensive player.
How long has your cable been out? Because I don't think you've watched hockey in about 4 years.
Did you watch the playoffs last year? Matthews was actually good last year.
Alfie's mullet may be the smartest person in the chat today. Who says Matthews is 6'4", but plays like he's 5'9", and I tend to agree.
I listen. I'm not saying he doesn't, but you can't deny physics when you're in front of the net. Like it's a bigger body. It's a bigger body, and you got 2 of the best goal scorers in the world right now. Not undeniable for sure. Both aren't great defensively. Both are great goal scorers. One's a little bit better goal scorer than the other. So I'm going to take the guy that's a little bit better goal scorer. You have to, and both players you have to surround with players too. Like it's unquestionable.
So I completely understand your point about you want a goal scorer because that's how you win hockey games. I understand.
Yeah.
But David Pastrnak will score ugly goals more often than Austin Matthews will. And I think David Pastrnak brings a little bit more tenacity, truculence.
He does not.
He does, not in a fighting kind of way, because we saw him back out of the whole whatever that was, Charlie McAvoy nonsense the other night. I don't think of him as a fighter, but he gets pucks. He is, I think he's just a harder player to play against. That's all I'm saying.
I would disagree.
I take David Pastrnak.
You're both snipers, both all world, two of the best in the business right now. One guy is just a little bit better at it, and you can't deny that. And we'll see. We'll see what happens in the playoffs. We'll see if Matthews plays tonight, and who knows? Maybe Pastrnak goes off. Listen, you take either one of them and you put them on my team, I'm happy. Like we're like separating the atom here. The original point was there's only certain guys like a McKinnon, like a McDavid. They're way up here. Then you have your next tier of guys, and Pasternak's in that next tier. That's where I see him.
There has been no one in the chat since this little discussion started that has said Matthews is the guy. Not one person. So, and I know he plays for Toronto, so there is probably a little bias. But
there 100%, are some. Like, here's the thing: I don't like the Leafs.
Yeah,
but I'm able to separate the Leaf hate and all that because you got to look at it logically. And if you look at it logically and you take all emotions out of it, who is the better goal scorer? You can't deny one guy is just, he can score in so many different ways. And
great.
Neither
Ottawa
one of them
Senators time and time again would go into the postseason as the top seed or have all kinds of offensive talent and not get it done. That's why I want the guy that's going to fight for me and still score goals. And that's
for sure.
David Pastrnak will fight to win a game. He will compete, is my point.
Here's the thing. If both your teams, if that is your number one guy, you're building your team around that person, you're not going to win. Somebody else has to be your leader. And with Boston, Marchand's that leader right now. It was Bergeron. And that's why I don't put either one of them at that top level, because to be at that top level, you have to be the one that leads the team. You are the unquestioned leader, like a McKinnon, like a McDavid. And that's the difference. So we'll see. Maybe one of them steps up in this. They're both still young. Maybe one of them steps up in tonight's game and leads them to that promised land. Neither one of them, to me, have done that yet in their career.
And I think Austin Matthews is the best goal scorer in the game. However, I will say Leon Draisaitl, playoff Leon Draisaitl, is the best goal scorer in the game right now. That guy is ridiculous.
I got him on my pool. Picked him first, Wally. I just love. You look how he plays. He's just
he's so good.
Tight areas. Like, he just holds on the pucks. He's a beast. I love his will, but it's took them a while, right? Like, they've had to learn along the way, and who knows? Maybe we'll see what happens. I just think tonight's game is just, the drama is going to be great. I think it's going 7.
Well, for Boston, it's got to go 6.
I know. Imagine going back to Boston. It's gonna be
but I will say, I don't know that Boston would be too stressed about it. I don't know they'd be too nervous in game 7 like Toronto would be, because Toronto has all those, we'll call them the demons, to exercise. Boston's won before. I know they've been out.
They just blew a series last year in the first round. They're going to be shitting their pants.
No, I see. I think there's too many veterans on the team to let that happen.
I don't know. You look at their decor. That's a young decor they got back there, and they don't have.
You've just been raving about it all series, and now I don't know. They're young.
I like Carlo. I like McAvoy, but there's a huge drop off after that. Like big number. I forget that was big number 6 back on the blue line. He's playing in their top 4 right now, and I don't know. This is his first playoff ever. He's a top 4 defenseman. Boston will be it. They do not want this going 7. It's tough. You got that in the back of your mind of what happened last year.
But okay, you tell me, which roster are you taking? By the way, 6 is Mason Lohrei. think it's Lorai.
Yeah.
Um,
Young guy. Playing really well, by the way. Playing really well.
23 years old, 6'5", 211, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Whoa.
Yeah, didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Which blue line are you going to take? And I'm
taking
all
Boston.
day, all in.
Yes. I'm all in on Boston because Toronto does not have a Brandon Carlo, and that guy is such an underrated shutdown D. Toronto doesn't have that. Their closest guy they got back there is Jake McCabe, who's playing great, but he's not Brandon Carlo. And I think McAvoy is a little bit. I like Morgan Riley, but I'll say if I was to take either one of them, I'm taking McAvoy over Morgan Riley. So, end of the day, Boston's got the better goalie. They've got Swayman, and I'd have to think he's back in the net tonight too. He's been so good.
But you think that's not the rotation, right?
They just went Swayman back to back. No, they just went Swayman's played the last couple.
That's what I'm thinking. They have to switch.
You think they're going to switch after Swayman was one of the best players last game? If you switch, you admit that they're in a pickle right now with that, because if you switch, you kind of send the message that we don't think Swayman can get it done. We're going with our other guy tonight.
But I tried to bring this up after game 1 and I got shut down. Like, this doesn't make sense to me, of this whole rotating thing. It causes too much of this nonsense.
I know it does. Once the pucks drop, though, the players don't think about it. They just play. It's there's so much going on with your own game. You're not worried about, oh, damn it, my coach put this goalie in. Oh, why did he do that? Now I'm nervous. Now I can't play it. I think that's not going on. That's more for everybody on the outside. Shit, how am I going to play this game tonight? I want Swayman in the net. Damn it. Now I'm mentally checked out.
I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it just becomes the distraction of being asked about it.
Yeah,
and some players will be like, "Oh, it doesn't really. We're just gonna go play. Like, you guys can keep asking." But it just adds the extra layer of distraction that's not needed.
It's great. It's great media babble for between games. From experience, you are so focused for the game. Who was it they interviewed with in Toronto last game? Was it McCabe? Yeah, it was Jake McCabe.
In the first intermission.
Did you see his face? Like, that guy had the best poker face going on. Like, he was so focused, and that to me, it showed that kid played a great game. But that's how most guys are in the playoffs. So you're not worrying about any. You can't. If your mind drifts for a second, you will make a mistake and fuck up, and you could be the reason you cost your team a game. So this time of year, I'm telling you, guys are razor focused.
You like Kyle Wukauskas could have said, "Hey, Jake, what's the meaning of life?" And he would have been, "Pucks in deep. We just got to get pucks in deep. Keep going." 4 lines.
Poor Kyle. Poor Kyle was trying to, because Kyle's pretty good, as you know, at trying to get guys to smile, say something. McCabe wasn't having any of that. Kyle's charm and great hair did not affect McCabe one bit.
No, well, McCabe didn't even look at him, so there was no chance he was going to be mesmerized by.
You can't look at Kyle. You can't look at Kyle. Got the nice eyes, good hair. Oh, Kyle.
Life's good to be Kyle. All right, Yorkie.
Kyle's an avid listener to the show, by the way. He'll be listening to this. Kyle, come on. We need better from you. You got to get the McCabes of the world to open up.
I meant to check in with him. We'll check in with him in between rounds and see what's going on with Kyle.
Oh, we'll get him. He's good.
All right. See you Monday. I'll tell you all about my field trip to Belleville.
All right.
The win game too. So see you on Monday, everybody. Don't forget 9 a.m. with Chris Campoli.
And don't forget Spaceballs.
Right. See you
Watch
then.
it.
Thanks for tuning in to Coming In Hot. If you enjoyed the show, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode.